2023, really good year for movies. Got one of my all-time favorites and a solid top 10 full of great movies. Like and subscribe. Number 10, Nǎi Nai Wài Pó. This is a documentary short by Sean Wang, who the next year would release Dee Dee. In this short, he has some fun and documents the later life of his two grandmothers. To me, it's so encouraging to see richness in all stages of life. Aging is something that scares me deeply, but being able to see people like his grandmothers live a rich life even into retirement age and beyond is very encouraging, very heartwarming to me. It's a simple story that doesn't just show the potential richness of later life, but also the richness of interacting with people and not treating people of different ages as different than you. Like he has a special relationship with them. It's clear, and he benefits from it as much as they do. It's showing such a wholesome part of life, and it's an encouragement to partake in something so heartwarming. And on top of that, I do love the look of the movie. It has a sort of glow and a pleasant quality that makes it just even more enjoyable to watch. Number 9, Beyond Utopia. This is a documentary following a family's escape from North Korea and highlighting figures along the way who make the journey possible. So in good documentary fashion, we have our literal events and then another idea that is being commented on throughout the film. And I think Beyond Utopia examines certain qualities of the human mind. We see the way that information can be used kind of as a sledgehammer to mold how people think. For example, we have some kind of ludicrous sounding stories of Kim Jong-un in the North Korean interior, but they're simultaneously very serious because of the impact they're clearly able to have on the people. Over time, repetition, you can shape the way people think and shape their perceptions so much. We see different aspects of humanity and sometimes lack thereof along the way with people who are helping or maybe just pretending to help. Survival situations do interesting things to people, and I think all of that is fascinating. The scope of the film blew me away, I think, because I never expected so much would have to go into such a, escape. It seems so simple. You just escape out of North Korea, but the film unveils many punches along the way and shows that it's not that simple. Overall, it's a film that hits hard emotionally and provides some sobering food for thought, and I really appreciated all of it. Number 8, American Fiction. This is the movie that causes the rest of the numbers in the video to be screwed up because I rewatched this and actually knocked it down the list a bit. Still think it's great, not quite as good as first viewing. American Fiction is about Thelonious Monk, an author who is fed up with the state of black fiction and sets out to write a novel lampooning it, only to find it to be a success. This is chiefly a performance movie for me, performance and script, as the movie is very funny. Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown especially bring the heat for me, but really the whole cast I think is quite good. The sort of caustic sense of humor mixed with the, sort of familiarity of like a family drama with these elements combined, and the way the movie kind of wrestles internally with its philosophy and with competing philosophies and its counter arguments and things like that. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great experience, flies by. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Number 8 is Asteroid City. In Asteroid City, quirky Wes Anderson sort of things happen in both an American desert town and in a curious black and white landscape. I've always been a little bit mixed on Wes, but this one works so well to me in part because I think it is his most interesting in terms of what it has to say. There's some obvious stuff about dealing with loss and grief, that's fine. It's well done. But to me, the interesting part is really the intersection between the play and real life and what it could potentially be saying. To me, it comes across as a commentary on the search for meaning and the way art helps work through that and helps find those answers, or at least search for them. I think the choice of the play as extremely saturated color, almost obnoxiously vibrant, is significant since it's creating like this world that's almost more real than real life, a sort of safe place to use art to examine ideas and the human experience. And then the other thing that is always a little bit of a miss with me, with Wes usually, is that style of like fast, kind of deadpan, emotionless delivery he likes to direct. To me, it felt like the movie had a little bit less of that than some of his other stuff, especially like Scarlett Johansson to me had a little bit more life in her than maybe a lot of other main supporting characters that have been in some of his movies. And then, of course, the aesthetic is awesome. I really like his sort of cartoonish, very exuberant production design. It's here in full force. It's awesome. The colors are almost so bright that they hurt to look at sometimes, but it's still pretty. Number 7, Sing Sing. I'm counting it here instead of 2024 or 2025 because that's when it premiered, just for simplicity. Sing Sing is about a prison theater troupe that helps those involved to find purpose and humanity even in prison. Coleman Domingo, lead actor, he's brilliant. The real inmates acting in the film are not noticeable, I would say, in the sense that you don't think of them as non-professional actors. They don't seem that way. This is one of those movies that puts a smile on your face more or less the whole time. I suppose it's fitting to talk about this right after Asteroid City because both of them have a focus on the power of art for humanity, for perseverance, for meaning. It's an extremely pleasant movie. It's wholesome, even frequently looks kind of soft and comforting aesthetically, and also it has a lovely end credit song. Number 6 is The Holdovers. The Holdovers follows a group of people staying at a prep school over Christmas break. It's wintry, it's got atmosphere, snow, nostalgia, it's cozy. Principally, the film speaks to mentorship and not just the effects on the mentee. We get the depiction of a two-way effect of this relationship affecting affecting both people, where both Angus and Paul learn, grow, become better people, evolve because of this mentorship, right? It's not just the person younger who's learning, it's the person who's older who's being shaped and influenced. And then through Mary, we get a great portrait of how people need people. Sure, it's possible to do pretty well holding up under grief or pressure, but everyone has moments of weakness. Everyone needs someone sometimes. And again, I'm thinking this connects well to the previous entry in the list because this is another extremely pleasant and wholesome movie. Not uniformly happy, but pleasant. Number 5, The Monk and the Gun. If you've never seen a Bhutanese film, here's your chance. It's a film about the intersection in Bhutan between tradition and the future. It is, I think, chiefly concerned with like these juxtapositions. Again, primarily dealing with modernity, represented by the US, and tradition, Bhutanese culture of the past and present to a degree. It speaks to contrasting attitudes about things like money, material possessions, political systems, even visual things like the way people use technology or things like spiritualism. You get food for thought as many things in the film associated with the US are not just US specific. It's kind of like global. Like the US is the representative of globalism, which makes sense. And you also get a little bit more of Bhutan, which is namely the landscapes, nature, which is really lovely. And this movie has one of my favorite sets of bookend shots, the opening and the close, I can think of offhand. And it's a pairing that I think really well illustrates Bhutan's desire to become something new, even in the face of globalism and modernity. It's also a very funny movie, so it's interesting and fun, which is a winning combination. Number 4, About Dry Grasses. Going abroad to yet another work from acclaimed director Nuri Bilge Ceylan. A young teacher is accused of inappropriate conduct with a student, driving him into an existential crisis. This is a talking movie, and it's a long one too, so there's a lot of talking. It's almost 200 minutes. Thankfully, Ceylan is an incredible artist, as are his collaborating writers, and the talking is mesmerizing. Samet, the main character, is one of the more engaging characters I've ever seen in a film. And I say engaging specifically because it's not necessarily a positive thing. Like, wanting to engage with something is not necessarily meaning that it's good. That's not necessarily a morally agreeable. But through him, through this kind of distasteful man, you get these interesting questions and observations about the world that create an interesting kind of dynamic and make you question things about how you look at things. And I love that. It speaks to the dangers of being too committed to one's own mind. And there's also some potentially interesting analysis to be done with how the movie is shot. Many dialogue scenes are in twos and very long shots, like they'll often capture entire conversations. Maybe not often, but a number of times. Capture entire conversations in one long two. But there are moments that the film decides to break that up, which are very interesting. There are a couple scenes revolving around Nure, which I think are especially nice visual accents. One that kind of follows her around more intimately than the usual dialogue scenes, and another one with some like great head-on shots in a conversation. One of the best moments in the movie. And those visual ideas support her very well, so they're well chosen. So personally, I would not fear the runtime. I would just go in ready to ponder, think a little bit about the situations presented, so I think it's well worth it. Number 3, Falling in Love Like in Movies. A screenwriter discreetly pens a romance script based on his feelings after reconnecting with his high school crush. This is such an ambitious, creative, and surprising film. It might not be best to specify what makes the film those adjectives. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but I just won't say what makes it so interesting. But just watch it. It's on US Netflix at least. I don't know if it's available anywhere else. There's a relationship story, which is fun. Great interactions between the pair's worldviews. There's commentary on filmmaking, which presumably is specific to Indonesia, but has some universal truth, I think. There's some very nice technical work, some fun shots. And though the film focuses more on the drama and the romance than comedy, there is a nice sprinkling of comedy that is very effective to me. Just go watch it. Like I said, I won't say more about what makes it special. Just watch it. Number 1, Past Lives. One of my favorite films, period. One of the best films I've ever seen in my mind. After decades apart, childhood friends Nora and Ha-sung are reunited in New York for one fateful weekend as they confront the choices that make a life. Greta Lee and John Magaro, I think especially, are fantastic. Score is unique and lovely. For such a simple movie, I think the camera is used very well, especially in service of creating tension at points. I also just really like the color palette. Like, everything just looks nicer than you would expect it to look. And I really admire Celine Song's direction in the movie, especially her feeling for space. Sometimes that's visual, sometimes sonic, with just letting sentences breathe and let people breathe and contemplate in conversation. But whatever the method, there's just this air of contemplation to the movie that really feels like the people involved are considering the weight of what has happened, what could have happened, what will happen, etc., etc. And I just love that. I think that's perfect for the movie, and I think it's really admirable that a first-time director has such a good sense of restraint to what she's put together. I love the emotional tone the movie creates, love the way the characters in the film talk and work through everything.